Imagine unlocking a global market for an entire nation's small businesses with just a single policy change. Well, that's pretty much exactly what just happened in Bangladesh. In this explainer, we're going to break down the B2B2C revolution, a seemingly small tweak to banking rules that is set to unleash a massive new wave of digital entrepreneurs.
So let's start with a really simple question. Say you're a talented artisan in Dhaka. Maybe you make beautiful leather goods. How do you get them onto a site like Amazon or eBay? Seems like it should be easy, right? But the thing is, until very recently, for entrepreneurs in Bangladesh, the answer was, well, you couldn't. Not really. There was this giant wall of outdated rules standing right in your way.
You see, the path to global e-commerce was pretty much blocked by some serious hurdles. We're talking about a system that was built for an analog past, not a digital future. Let's take a closer look at what these roadblocks actually were. At its heart, the problem was a total mismatch. Think about it. Global e-commerce is a many-to-one kind of deal. You ship a whole container of your goods to one Amazon warehouse, and they sell it to many different customers. But Bangladesh's old export rules, they were strictly one-to-one. One seller, one buyer, one contract. The two systems just couldn't talk to each other. This created three huge obstacles. First up, the consignee mismatch. Old banking rules said the person receiving the shipment had to be the final buyer. But with Amazon, the receiver is their warehouse, not the person who ends up buying your product. Red flag. Second, the contract requirement. Banks demanded a traditional sales contract, which just doesn't exist when you're selling on a platform. And finally, payment matching. This was a nightmare. Every single payment had to be matched to a specific shipment. Imagine getting one big payment from Amazon for hundreds of different sales. It was basically impossible. But then, a really pivotal change happened. Bangladesh's central bank stepped in and introduced a brand new framework, one designed specifically to tear down these digital barriers. It's called B2B2C, and believe me, it is a true game changer. So what in the world is B2B2C? It stands for business to consumer. In simple terms, it creates a legal and financial path for exactly the process we've been talking about. The Bangladeshi business, that's the first B, sells to an intermediary, like an Amazon warehouse, that's the second B, which then sells the product to the final consumer, and that's the C. This simple little reframing of the process, well, it's the key to everything. And the impact was felt immediately. You don't have to take my word for it. One local exporter said, and I quote, "This is a game changer for Bangladesh's cross-border e-commerce." You can almost feel the relief in that statement, can't you? For years, these entrepreneurs were stuck just watching this huge global opportunity pass them by. This policy was the key they had been waiting for. The official moment that really broke the logjam happened on November 24th. That's the day Bangladesh Bank sent out the circular that made the B2B2C model official, fundamentally changing the rules of the game for an entire generation of exporters. Okay, so how does this new streamlined process actually work in the real world? Let's go back to our artisan in Dhaka and see what their journey to selling globally looks like today. It's now a clear four-step journey. It's actually pretty simple. First, the exporter registers with a global platform like Amazon and just shows that proof to their bank. Second, they ship their goods in bulk right to the platform's warehouse, say an Amazon fulfillment center in the US. Third, the platform takes over, handling all the individual sales to customers. And finally, the exporter gets paid, often in a single lump sum through totally legitimate banking channels. Simple as that. This slide right here really puts the whole transformation into perspective. Just look at the difference. The consignee rule? It went from a hard no on shipping to a warehouse to a resounding yes. That rigid need for a traditional contract replaced by the flexibility of something like a pro forma invoice. And that payment matching nightmare swapped for a much smarter and more flexible system. And that flexible system is called FIFO, or first in, first out. Instead of that impossible task of matching hundreds of tiny payments to one big shipment, banks can now just take the incoming payments from Amazon and apply them against the oldest outstanding shipments on their books. It's a really simple accounting change that solves a massive logistical headache. So, what does all of this mean for the bigger picture? Because this isn't just some technical banking fix. No, this is about unlocking a powerful new engine for Bangladesh's entire economy. The impact on a macro level is just huge. All of a sudden, small and medium-sized businesses have direct access to consumers all over the world. It pulls millions of dollars in exports out of the gray market and into the formal economy. And critically, it helps Bangladesh build its brand on the global stage for so much more than just garments. At its heart, this is really about democratization. It completely lowers the barrier to entry for international trade. It empowers not just established companies, but small businesses, individual entrepreneurs, you name it, to start thinking globally and become exporters. And why this matters so much is that it helps Bangladesh move beyond its traditional reliance on the garment industry. This new policy is expected to create a boom in exports of entirely new categories of products, things like light consumer goods, lifestyle items, unique crafts, and all sorts of other niche products that can finally find a global audience online. So, this policy has thrown open a new digital door to the world for an entire nation of creators. The old gatekeepers are gone. So the real question now is, what will Bangladesh sell to the world next? Now that the world is listening, what stories will Bangladeshi artisans and entrepreneurs choose to tell? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.